Alright, welcome to part 2 of this console overview on the Sega Saturn. I'm sorry it took so long to actually get to this point, but, you know, stuff happens, and I work a full-time job and all that fun stuff, so I don't actually have a lot of time on my hands to do this, and when I do have time on my hands, I have other obligations, so I am very sorry that it did take this long, but I'm sorry, this isn't my full-time job. But yes, here it is. This is going to primarily consist of some things that I promised in the last one. There were a few things that happened where I didn't necessarily want to cram so much into one video because then viewer retention would go to crap, and I don't need that. So it's just, yeah, I decided I would take a few things that I had originally intended to put in the first one and put it in the second one. Also, the biggest part of this one will be the console teardown and reassembly. I'm actually going to tear the console down. It'll be my first time doing that on a Sega Saturn, so it's going to be interesting. And I will put it back together, which will also be very interesting, because like I said, I've torn down plenty of consoles before and put them back together, but the Sega Saturn is not one of them. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. I will have a list of things that will be in this video, and go ahead and watch with your eyes. Okay, I figured I'd just try and see how this works as a nice test run, but yeah, here we go. Sega Saturn. Flip it over, open it up, and show you what's going on inside there. Hopefully I can get it from a few different angles. I'll have my phone out and stuff too. Maybe I can do some multi-camera crap, and that'll be all fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, for this whole part 2 thingy, we're actually going to open this guy, and this is very experimental, like I said earlier, so I haven't really done this before. I haven't actually taken this thing entirely apart before. I obviously have to fix the disk issue that I was having in my very first video that I uploaded to this channel. But yeah, I haven't actually gone too in-depth as to how to actually get into this thing. So this will be experimental for me too, so this will be kind of an interesting watch. So do stay tuned. Do stay tuned and watch me fumble around with this. So that'll be fun. Alright, so to save you the, lovely viewing of just, me unscrewing crap, I did it before I started the camera here, so yeah, here's the inside of this delightful bastard, and it's a little bit dusty right now, but that happens when it sits around for God knows how many years now. But yeah, just a nice little close-up there of everything. Obviously, when I made my first video on this channel, it was actually an issue where this would spin up and everything. It would attempt to read the disc just a bit, but the laser wouldn't actually start functioning. So what I did, and just as a, sort of a, I don't know, PSA, if you are having this problem, the unit will eventually die, unfortunately, but you can offset it by just sort of, see that little, that yellowish orange bastard down in there? I can't really get it to focus on that very well, but if you see it down there, just take a little Phillips head or flathead screwdriver and just push it in there and turn it up just in tiny little increments, and don't do this while the unit is on. Do not do any of the stuff that I'm about to do, because I don't want to get, in trouble here for making you, dig into the power supply and power pod of your goddamn Saturn. But, be very careful when doing this, but don't do any of that when it's, don't do any of that when it's turned on. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that, but yeah, and just turn it up in small little increments, just tiny little increments, and then test it, and then if it works, then you're good to go. Don't do anything else. But I was having problems where it wasn't reading the disc, and that fixed it. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, as you can see, pretty simple setup. You've got the power supply off to the left here, at least my left, and then you've got, obviously the big drive assembly right here. We will be removing this stuff and actually experimenting a little bit, trying to get it to, just trying to get this thing apart so I can actually show you what's under the hood. So, without further ado, let's do it. Okay, so now I need to figure out where I'm going to start, and I think what I'm going to do is go for the power supply. So we're going to get this guy out of here. And it took me ages to find the screwdriver for this. And Yeah, I'm special. I know. All the screwdrivers I had were either Torx bits for some reason, or they were, they were either Torx bits or they were flatheads. But most of them were Torx bits, and I can't understand for the life of me why I just had so many Torx bits. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around. I'm going to get the screws out of here that I can see, and a lot of these are probably also operating as grounding screws. Funnily enough, to ground out the unit here. Let me figure out where I'm going to put all these stupid screws. Let me see how many of them are hiding in here. I figured I would film taking out these screws because, I don't know, they're more important than the ones that take off the, I don't know, the top of the unit. You've probably seen that 1.5 billion times. This, I don't know if you've seen this 1.5 billion times, so there we go. Like I said, interesting viewing. But I do want to take the time while I'm doing this to actually thank you guys for supporting the Dreamcast and Saturn videos. Like, I can't believe the amount of support that I've actually seen come from those videos. It's actually, it's awesome to see that so many people enjoyed those two productions. And they did take a lot of time. They took a lot of energy and time from me to make, because it's just a one-man thing. It's just me doing this. I don't have any editors. I don't have any, you know, professional experience doing this. I don't use any, you know, fancy, you know, well, I use fancy stuff, obviously. I use, you know, compositing software and all that fun stuff, but, you know, you get the idea. I don't, you know, I don't do this professionally, and I work a full-time job too, so it takes a lot for me to actually produce a video like that. So I'm really glad that you guys liked it, and I'm really glad that I got some constructive feedback from you guys as well, because if it weren't for constructive feedback like that, I wouldn't know what I was doing wrong, and I would just get so, you know, sure of myself that I would, you know, just idiotically spit out videos that have no value. So I'm super glad that you guys enjoyed it, and I will be bringing more of those for sure. I'm going to be doing other videos. If you want, leave a comment down below and tell me what console you want me to do next. Right now, I'm actually just trying to figure out, because I got these standoffs aren't held on by anything. Let me see. The only thing I can see holding these on would be these little connectors right here, and this ribbon right here, but I don't know if I want to pull those out just yet, because I want to see if there's anything else holding it in before I try and yank something like that out, because if you even do so much as bend one of those ribbon cables just a little bit, it's donezo. So I'm thinking, I wonder if I can pull it out of this side. It doesn't look... Oh, wait a minute. There we go. That one's out. So now I just need to figure out what else is holding this in from below. And it's a ribbon cable at the bottom of the unit. So that means I'm going to have to probably take the power supply out so I can lift the entire chassis out. Okay. Well, that's going to be fun. Well, I managed to work this little guy out of here, and now I just need to get that ribbon cable right there out of the way. Otherwise, I can't really figure out how to get the chassis up from this thing, so this is going to be pretty interesting to figure out. I'm just trying to see, 'cause this just slid like that under there. This little guy is going to have to come out of here. If I can weasel that out of there, that would be excellent, but it really doesn't want to come, and I don't want to bend it, so I'm going to see. I wish I had like a spudger or something, but I don't. Something I could just work that out of there with. Let's see. Because this is really... Oh, I feel some clips coming out of there. Maybe if I can take out this... Well, let's see, there's little screws right here by the power supply. Let me take those out. Those are probably holding. And there goes a screw. Need to find out where that went. There it is. You son of a bitch. Alright. I can probably just lift lift this up out of here. Careful not to... let me see, is there anything else in here that could hold this bastard in? I'm really not seeing anything other than... oh yeah, sure enough, it's held in there. It looks like connected down here to the chassis again. I won't be able to pull this up as easily as I had thought. But I do see some screws coming through to the bottom though, so that means that it's definitely being held on internally, which means this stuff is going to have to come off somewhat. But how the hell does it come off? That's the question I have. I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, I found a little bastard screw that's actually hiding under this assembly right here, so I'm going to try and get that out of there. The only issue is that this ribbon cable is here. So I'm going to have to get another smaller screwdriver to get that out, and I think I have one over here somewhere. It's just a tiny little Phillips head. Yep. Okay, let me get this back into place here quick. Perfect. There's a little washer holding that bastard in. I'm going to put that next to the magnet thing on my monitor. Okay. Now that just lifts right up. And I can get at this one. And then this must be a grounding of some sort because it's metal. Somewhat at least. Yeah, that must be a grounding of some sort. Now what I can do is I can hopefully just weasel these little connectors out of here, but I don't know if I want to do that right now because they seem really, really kind of flimsy, and I don't want to damage those. So, now that I at least have this off, I'm pretty sure I can try and figure out what's holding this on over here. Let's put those down. Let me get a better angle of this with my phone here. Just kind of see right down there. You can see that's being held on. That little dude right there. That's what's holding it down in there, and that's what's keeping me, that's what's preventing me from getting at it. So I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Yeah, I am kind of at a loss with this. I see there's more screws kind of under this, but I can't get to them, obviously. Assembly there moving back and forth. That's neat. You can see the gears right here that move the laser assembly back and forth. Alright, let's see. What can I do here? Looks like there's this little plastic piece right here that lifts up. This might separate it from the rest of this mess. I wonder if I can just pull out this board right here. Yeah, that's just flapping around in the breeze. That's not held in by really anything. But here's the controller board. You can see that right here. Yeah. There you go. There's something out of there. Now I just need to work on getting this. I think these little clips are linking it into this. So let me try and figure out if I can just... No, I don't want to putz around that too much. I don't want to break something here. Oh, there's little clips right here holding in the power supply. Let me try those. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There you have it. Let me just take out this power connector here. And there is a Sega Saturn power supply. Pretty simple dealy here, nothing too crazy. So this would be the point at which, if If you have any bulging caps, you would want to take your old soldering iron or whatever you got, your torch, just get rid of those, get some new ones in there. Looks like mine are perfectly fine. I don't know if you can see that very well up here, but mine are, I don't know how well that's focusing. Lighting's pretty bad, but you can see that looks just fine. Okay, now that the power supply is out of there, I can lift this plastic shielding up probably. It's kind of rigid, so be careful not to get yourself hurt if you're going to do this. Which, for legal reasons, I don't advise you do. But now I should be able to get the rest of the screws out of this son of a bitch. Lift up the RF shielding here. And actually get into this guy. Yep. It's coming off slowly. This little ribbon doesn't want to cooperate. It's out of there. It's out of the chassis. There's the main logic board itself. Bottom side of it, the ass of it. Try and get this RF shielding out. I can see the guts from here. Oh boy. That's definitely some interesting viewing right there. This little plastic piece that just came out. Don't know what that is. But we're going to find out. There we go. Okay. Here comes that ribbon. Here's the RF shield. That looks pretty dusty and grody. I think I have some canned air around here, and there you have it. There is your Sega Saturn logic board. Let's actually look at all the juicy stuff. Ooh, I can see the two SH2s right there. Let me get in closer with my camera death. There's the 2025 battery that you would be able to replace at this point. I mean, you can definitely not. You don't have to take that apart to dismantle it. But there are the two fabled SH2 dual CPUs down there. The probably one of the worst Saturn choices that Sega made with the Saturn. Yeah, because no one really knew what they were doing with those damn things. I mean, it's kind of sad. This console had so much potential and it was just not used. But yeah, here you have all sorts of chipsets. You got a Motorola. What is that? I know what that is. I think I know what that is, but it's on the tip of my tongue. It's obviously a Motorola chip. I think I know what it does. I think that might be a sound chip of some description. Not entirely sure. Otherwise, I will have in the description probably the functions listed for all of these little guys right here. But yeah, I just really wanted to get a look at those SH2s right there. I wish I could crack one of them open and look at the die, but I'm not going to go that far. Because, you know, I don't want to destroy this unit. This is my personal Saturn. I still use this unit. So, you know, yeah, there is the Sega mainboard. This is the point at which, or the Sega Saturn mainboard even. This would be the point at which you would probably take some compressed air and, you know, blow it and get it all clean. But mine doesn't look half bad. Let me get the underside of it here for you. Here it is. Some more interesting viewing for you there. And then there's just the RF shielding down there. So now I think that I've finally gotten this thing apart and had a look at it. Actually, there's the expansion slot there for your video CD cartridge, if you have one of those, which I don't. I've been looking into getting one, but like I said, can't really do that at the moment. Yeah, I think now, if I can focus, if the camera rather will focus, yeah, we can get this thing back together. That's going to be even more interesting than getting it apart, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. Now we just need to get this son of a bitch back together. So, here comes the fun part of this whole thing. Okay, so that's back into place. That's back where that belongs. Now, the best part about this is trying to figure out where and when the screws are going to go in. But I think as long as I've got, you know, all of these here, I'm going to start putting them in now. just so I can get the board fastened down. And if you're going to be doing this, do be sure to do it evenly so that you're not going to crack the board open, because if you crack the board open, bad things are going to happen. It will no longer function properly, or at all. So I think I've got that down well enough to the point where I can at least work on it and get it back together here. So now, this piece came off, and I don't know how it's supposed to go back on, but I'm going to guess it goes a little something like this, or this. But there are little clips holding it into place, so I'm just trying to figure out here. It looks like this is how it's designed to go back in, so I'm going to guess at that being case, but I'm not entirely sure, like I said, unless this is how it goes back in. That looks normal. That looks like how it's supposed to go back in, because this is probably a shield for keeping it, yeah, because there's a screw that goes right in there, so this must be, this must be, because that feels nice and snug, and it fits in there with all the components perfectly, so there we go. Now comes the RF shielding. Obviously this is going to go upright this way. I'm thinking power supply was facing this way, so it's going to have to go back like this. And then just snap on top. Like that. There we go. That is back on. And of course I am already seeing the first problem with me putting the screws on. The RF shielding has to go over it, so now I can put this back on the right way. And those little gooduses into place. Where are you going? Come on. There you go. And this is actually going to have to go through here. A little ribbon cable here. Without bending it. There you go. Or is it going in that way? Oh boy. I'm not sure. Because it's not going back in that way. So maybe not. But it looks like it should. I'm guessing it does. So what I'm going to have to try and figure out here is sliding it under that. Like that. There we go. And then, there we go. Now that's back on. Okay, now, on go these. I can get it in there, right? There we go. And then the other one. Nice and even there. And let's get this guy in here. I do remember this thing being connected down here with this little dude. Oh god, where'd that washer go? Oh no, I've lost a washer. There it is. Get back there. Okay, so now this little dude can go down on here. That's where that was. Okay. I think at this point I'm going to try and get this guy back in here as well. Ooh, this is going to suck. I can do its housing. Oh no, that didn't suck as much as I thought it would. Okay, we're good. And this dealie can go right back where it belongs. Now, the interesting part of this is figuring out where this little bastard is actually going to screw into, because I think it actually has to go around the other way. So let me slide this guy around here like that. And then before I do that though, I think I'm going to have to get the power supply back on. So that went on here like... Geez, I have no idea. Because this is in the way. So I'm thinking if that went there, then this will have to go back in here like that, because that's shielding against that. So this will snap in there. And then this goes under here like that. And then power supply plops right back on top. Like so. Okay. That looks a little bit wonky though, but I'm going to see if that's how it's done, because I'm not seeing anything over here where that clips in. So we're going to see if this goes back on correctly. I'm not sure, but, you know. Obviously this is going to go back in here like this. These leaders are going to have to slide in there. And this guy is going to have to go back into place. And like that. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to screw these back in. I don't know if you can see that, but I am screwing the screws on the back for the power supply, at least for the plug-in bit to sit in there, if it'll cooperate with me at least, which it doesn't look like it will. There we go. Those are not actually going anywhere. Let's figure out why that is. There we go. Now it's gone in. I think that's to keep it fastened down against that plastic shielding that's trying to hold it up. So that's in there, nice and snug. Well, it doesn't look like it's actually fitting in, because that tab is supposed to be... That tab that's right there on the power supply that I had, you know, forced down earlier is actually still not going through. So let me figure something out here quick. Alright, I got it. I just needed to putz around a little bit with it. But I did get it to go down. Stupid plastic shielding. Basically, it just involved me just trying to reseat it, and it worked just fine. So that's back in there properly now. So now I can work getting this dude where that needs to be. And then there's this bastard, and this will have to go right down in there. Okay. And this, I'll put this little dude right back in there. This little ribbon. Try not to bend it. Okay, that's back in there. And this, I'm going to have to grab this tiny, tiny, tiny little bastard screw. And I put that tiny little bastard washer on it, so I can screw it into the tiny little bastard hole it's supposed to go into. Just to give you some scale on how small this thing is, let me pull out my phone here. Look at that. That's it. That's the screw. It's absolutely tiny. Absolutely frickin' tiny. Now I need to not drop it and get it screwed right into there with this little bastard washer. So this is going to be it's going to be an adventure, and the washer fell off. Okay. I swear to God, if I drop this. This has got to be a grounding of some sort. God damn it. Okay. We're gonna have a bit of an intermission, so go grab a drink or I don't know, go hire a prostitute or something. I'll be right back. Okay, now I am placed very awkwardly, so this is gonna be fun. But let's I don't know if you can see that, but I do need this washer or else it's not gonna fasten itself properly. I need to get it on there, and my hands are not ant-sized, so this is going to be fun. Thank God I have some nails. And for people who always ask why I have long nails, or long-ish nails, it's because of situations like this where you need to get at tiny things that don't want to cooperate, and you just need that extra little grip on stuff. But I did get this bastard in there, so it's screwed in there now. You bitch. You bitch. Anyways, now it's in there. Hopefully it's not coming out. Okay. So now... Oh, shit. I might have to get the power supply back out, because look what I left behind. Anyways. Yeah, let me take care of that quick. Okay, that's back in there properly now. Jesus. That was just me being an idiot there for a second. Or for a minute, or for like 20 minutes. More accurately, let me get this screw back in here. Okay, that's back in there. Now there's this dude. Let me get this aligned in here properly and get a nice screw in here. Otherwise, what I could do is... let's see here. Make sure that I've got all my stuff in place properly here. Let me put down some screws back by this RF shielding down here, because we gotta have screws there. Don't do that. Come on. You can do it. You can go down in there. There you go. Gotcha, you bastard. Okay, now that's in there. So now this should be good to go for the most part. Make sure it's not wiggling around too much here. Okay. Alright, now time to put this thing back on here. Now, the big mistake I made here was that I didn't... Well, let me get this screwed back in here first. I think this used this little one right here. Yeah, that seems right. So now that board is secure. But now what I have to do is I have to get this back out of here again. Without breaking it. Shit, now it doesn't want to do anything. I think I might have wedged it. Okay, hopefully I didn't destroy that ribbon cable, but, you know, I might have. So now this has to go back in here, like that, and then... Because what had happened with this bastard is I accidentally got it wedged in there, and I had to really work it to get it out of there. And that is never a good thing when you really have to crank on a ribbon cable like that. That That's how you break shit. Okay. Well, that does seem to be back in there. How securely, well, not very, because this screw shouldn't have gone on yet. Learning! This is actually a good experience for when I actually have to repair this thing, though, so that's cool. Let's get you in there. There we go. Nice and solid. Alright. Now, there's this ribbon cable right here. Need to figure out where this guy belongs to. I think it actually goes in right there. So if I don't drop it, should just go right into there. Now, ribbon cables are a beautiful thing, but they're also a pain in the ass. After this, I'll probably never want to see one ever again. I can take a little... that wouldn't be too dangerous to do that. Maybe I can just... yeah, I can just lift this up and... I don't know how you can see that, but I can just lift it up and... there we go. That's in there now. Okay. Now... this dude goes down in there. This is the point at which I really wish I had had a spudger, but I don't. Well, that's back in there. Looks like this is all back where it needs to be. So, now I have these black screws right here. I need to remember where these guys came from. This one goes into this. That much I can tell you. Or at least it looked like it did, but no, it didn't. On second thought, no, it does not go in there. So I may have to figure out where that one went. I think it might be... well, let me match the tips of it here. The ends. That looks pretty similar. At the end of the day, all I care at this point is if this thing turns on and functions again. Because after my genius plan here, it might not. And it looks like me using the wrong screw here just busted this bastard open. So don't do that. Don't be me. It'll still fit in there just fine, mind you, but yeah, don't be me and use the wrong screw in the wrong hole, or else that might happen. But like I said, you're all laughing at me right now, but this is a learning experience, so, you know, whatever. That has yet to go on. Okay. So, as you can tell, I'm not a professional. Never claimed to be a professional. Let me just get this guy off of here. That might have to stay in there for now, actually, because it's just kind of screwed. Haha, funny, get it? Comedy screwed. Anyways, these guys can go back in there. Or can they? Because these might be external screws. So I'm thinking... no, because I did see this one down here, so these guys are actually going to be the ones that go into the bottom of the unit. This one doesn't want to go in at all, so I might have to forego that and figure that out later. this guy. This one is going to go in here. Okay, that's good. And this one is going to have to go by the power supply. You can hear my cat fumbling around out there. She better not start meowing, because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with a fucking cat meowing right now. Yeah, I got important shit to do. I gotta put together a Saturn, okay? This is official Saturn business. Okay, yeah, that screw is not going in there. So that's gonna have to be foregone for now. But it looks like I got this bastard back together. Now, whether or not it works is a different story. But I did get it back together. So, let us see. Let us see if I didn't screw this thing up. Like I said, I am going into this not knowing really what I'm doing. So I did make that disclaimer, so, you know. Otherwise, I can always look stuff up and figure out how to repair it, because that's actually what I did in the first place when I, you know, looked up that video, how to repair your Saturn, you know. When I originally did this back in, jeez, how long ago was that now? When I first uploaded that video, that was, God, that was eons ago now. So now I have to figure out why this isn't going on here very snugly. And I think it comes down to these power things not sitting in here properly. Yeah, there we go. Now it's on there. So now alright, one full SD card later, I guess, and we have the top of the Sega Saturn back on in its full glory. The only thing I'm having here, as far as problems are concerned, is this bastard won't bounce back up like it's supposed to. So let's figure out why it's doing that. I'm hoping that I got it. I figured out it was this spring, and I always hate dealing with springs. It's like my least favorite thing to do whenever I'm rebuilding a console or something like this. But I think I figured out how it's supposed to go in there. Alright, that's fixed. I hope. Should be just fine. Let's turn it on. Pray that we have signal. I am not getting any signal. But that's probably because I need to turn this bastard on. And we got signal. Let's put in a game. What do we got? Gex, SimCity 2000, Virtua Fighter 2, and Daytona USA. Let's see. Guess what I picked? Let's get this in here. Come on, don't scratch the disc. Spinning up. Checking disc format. Alright, one lens cleaning later. And there we go. Hi, how you doing? I had some Pizza Hut right over there. You want some If you had some garlic knots, you can, feel free to help yourself. But yeah, SimCity 2000, we got it running. It's all is well in the world. But yeah, there we go. There's a teardown and reassembly of a Sega Saturn unit. Thus ends this segment.
Thank you, Pat. It's great to be back in Los Angeles. I'd like to take a moment right at the beginning of my remarks to convey one of the more important pieces of news you're likely to hear while here at E3. Tomorrow, May 12th, 1995, will be Yogi Berra's birthday. Yes, his 70th. So we all need to prepare ourselves for a heavier than usual onslaught of Yogiisms from radio and TV commentators. And if I may, I'd like to kick off the birthday observance by repeating my own personal favorite of his. When I come to a fork in the road, I take it. Now that's not only vintage Berra, it's also good for kicking off speeches. It can even be construed without an awful lot of effort to be representative of what I'm about to say today. I'm going to discuss choices. I'm going to discuss change. And E3 works as a pretty good symbol of some change our industry is experiencing. Here is this great big show designed solely for interactive entertainment. CES, great success that it's been, was never really designed for us. It related better to an older culture. It forced some of the most creative companies on Earth to at least figuratively put on gray flannel suits and, well, sort of fit into a TV buying, furniture selling mode. But even that worked okay until recently. Now, interactive entertainment has become far more than just an annex to the bigger, broader electronics business. And frankly, I don't miss the endless rows of car stereo speakers and cellular phones. We've broken out to become a whole new category, a whole new culture for that matter. This business resists our catastrophes. It defies conventional wisdom. But all of us, including me, understand it better. And sometimes, in order to do that, we give in to the temptation to simplify things. And then, invariably, we make mistakes. This morning, I want to question a couple of assumptions about interactive entertainment that I see gaining greater and greater acceptance today. Assumptions that I believe are mistaken. What are they? Myths, really. And like all good myths, they are persistent and persuasive. That's a John Kennedy line if anybody's got sources. There are two of them. The first is about PCs and the likelihood of that platform eating the game business for lunch. The second incorporates the assumption that the success and failure of our business will always be measured by our acceptance among 6 to 17-year-old boys. Let's look at them one at a time. It doesn't, in truth, take much thought to see why the first myth has become as prevalent as it is. Examining some of the facts of the PC as killer whale theory, we often find the following. Multimedia PCs have sold fast over the last 2 years. They are, at first blush, obvious platforms for the increasingly sophisticated games our audiences are calling for. And those PC sales numbers will be a compelling message to game developers out there. And you know, if I've just spent $1,700 to $3,000 or more on a new multimedia platform for my home office, don't I want to get as much use out of that expense as possible? Well, sure I do. Multimedia platforms have some technical advantages over TV-based systems too. PC monitors typically offer better resolution than TV screens. And back to the developer community. If I develop games to the PC standard, I don't have to pay anybody a royalty. Another reason for me to look inquiringly in this direction. But now, let's examine these in a little more detail. Digital News and Reviews tells us that 10% of U.S. households own a multimedia PC today. That's about 10 million homes. Now that's an extraordinary increase over the year before, when only about 3 or 4% could make their own money. These are impressive numbers. On the other hand, 30% of U.S. households, and that number is about 30 million homes, own and use a video game machine today. We predict that by 1996, that percentage is going to be between 35 and 40% for 33 to 38 million households. Now, if you're a developer interested in the big markets, where logically are you going to look first? Last year, a PC game that sold 200,000 units would be an enormous hit. That 200,000 units is good business by anybody's definition. But a hit dedicated to Sega or Nintendo gaming, on the other hand, sold 1 to 3 million units in the U.S. Now, with thousands of PCs games introduced this year, the average unit sale in that arena will be 20 to 30,000 units. Dedicated game titles are only coming out at a rate of a few hundred per year. So the average unit sale will be over 100,000 units, and it will still sell millions of units. At this moment in time, and for the foreseeable future, let's face it, Sega, Nintendo, and maybe a few others in our business are still the only real big game in town. Now, what about this business of, hey, I just bought an expensive computer, I want to get as much use out of it as possible. Let me get off the academic level here and get down to daily reality. If we're talking about a young adult who just bought a computer system, has no kids, and might want a little diversion on his work platform, I'll buy this argument all the way. He'll buy 3 or 4 PC CD-ROM games. But that's not a rule in America. That's an exception. It's far more likely that 43 to 42 years old, I bought my PC to work at home, to organize my domestic life, to try new educational software, maybe to join my friends and family on the internet, whatever. And yes, I have kids. And after resisting the pressure for months, I finally go out and buy a game for my 10-year-old boy. He's happy looking at the box, seeing the fun he's going to have. He can't wait to get started. And it tells you about that even as you're peeling off the shrink wrap. You slide that baby into the slot, hit install, and you get one of several messages. All of which basically say, surely you did not think it was going to be this easy. Now we're talking time on telephone hold with the software company's 800 line, their customer service people. We're talking more trips to the computer store. You're upgrading DOS, for instance, because of that pesky insufficient memory signal. I mean, nobody told you that you needed 8 megabytes of available memory to run that game. Or you're reconfiguring the soundboard after you spend 2 hours looking for the documentation. And Macs aren't immune from all this either, trust me. So the story goes on in most houses for hours, and then finally the supreme moment arrives, the music pipes up, the animation begins, it's working. And then you realize, hey, I don't know if I want my 10-year-old playing anywhere near my home office and the business plan I just spent 2 or 3 months creating. So the next morning you make another trip to the computer store to buy a shell. That means every time you turn the computer on, he can only get to his game. But that means you need to take extra steps to get around his game. So why do we buy this thing anyway, you begin to ask yourself, to entertain young Brandon or to help my business? It's at this point, I believe, that the prospect of spending a few $100s on a dedicated machine that plugs and plays on a much bigger screen in a room far better equipped to handle your son and his friends starts to sound like a pretty good investment. I think people who dismiss the dedicated game platform have never gone through this. People who write about technology are, for the most part, pretty adept at technology. They judge computers, understandably, I think, like you might judge any high-performance technical machine. If it develops a quirk or two, that's the name of the high-tech game. But in our game, we know things don't work that way. If you're truly going to succeed in the consumer business, your product has to work perfectly, right out of the box, first time, every time. Now, is Windows 95 going to deliver the kind of idiot-proof operability that someone like me needs? I think over time the answer is probably yes. Certainly that's where it's aimed. But that's still a ways out there. And by then, the game business will be still further ahead in delivering the next generation entertainment experiences. That's what we're about to consider. A PC that could marginally run some of the newer games talking about today will require a Pentium 120 megahertz PC chip with Windows 95, a 3D graphics accelerator, 16 megabits of RAM, and more video RAM. And that's not your average multimedia PC. This is power user stuff, hobbyist level stuff. And even if it were available today, it would retail for over $3,000, well over. Now, please don't get me wrong. Multimedia PC game sales are going to increase rapidly. It's going to be a great business to be in. And in the very near future, Sega will be getting into it. See, we're approaching the fork in the road, and we're taking it. But the truth is, PC games aren't going to kill game machines any more than VCRs kill the movie business. The myth I'm dealing with, let's not forget, is the kind of all or nothing assumption I see too much of. It will be PCs or it will be dedicated game machines. That's like asking, will it be sports cars or minivans? The answer is both do great things. Both are optimized for different functions. 70% of the whole video game business today consists of fast action and sports titles, a concept that most of the multimedia PCs shipped last year and this year cannot deliver. Most publishers today believe PC entertainment software sales will level off at about 20 to 25% of total entertainment software. But even this kind of market share predicting tends to miss a much bigger vision of the future of home entertainment. It looks at what most homes have now and extrapolates from there. I want to move outside of that box. I think even the amazingly sophisticated games you're going to be seeing at E3 today only hint at the kind of immersive experience consumers are going to be demanding in years to come. That's going to be delivered by big screen TVs, surround sound, home theater stuff that will move the whole question away from the level of, will it be in the home or the home office? Because it will be neither. This will be multi-dimensional, truly interactive experiences that will involve the whole family, and they'll take place in a room dedicated not to sleeping, not to work, but to entertainment. Maybe the real message here is that our business is simply going to be more difficult to analyze and predict. Remember, kids and adults alike are going to be more exposed to the fun and excitement of interactive games in the next few years than they've ever been before. They'll be seeing them on airplanes, in hotel rooms, and in their homes via the Sega Channel. Where the Sega Channel exists in our rollout markets today, we're seeing game purchasing activity increasing by 35%. The Sega Channel is the first online example of electronic delivery of games in a mass market way. We will build on that in the future with Saturn, and it certainly gives Sega a distinct advantage. Am I suggesting a Sega game play every home by the year 2000, along with the chicken in every pot? Absolutely. But in the forms and platforms we haven't yet dreamed of. This is a business that is ready to explode, and there's room for plenty of competition. PCs are not the enemy. Set-top delivery is not the enemy. Not if you're the largest content provider of software, as Sega is. Now let's move on to the second myth, that your life and mine will forever depend on the whims and attitudes of the 6 to 17-year-old market. I hope some of what I just finished saying about greater consumer expectations will begin to put the lie to this idea, because this once hard and fast reliance on a singular age group and demographic is changing and changing fast. In 1992, the market was 61% dominated by 6 to 17-year-olds. In 94, the figure was 55%. Now our reliance, Sega's reliance on the age segment has dropped even to the industry average. In 92, 62% of our sales went to them. But in 94, the number had dropped to 51%. In other words, 49%, almost half, of our business is already with adults 18 or older. And that trend is going to continue. We're going to see a broader-based group of ages and demographics buying interactive entertainment, period. Most savvy industry analysts completely agree with this. So the game companies begin to ignore those 6 to 17-year-old boys, our original group of consumers? Do we begin turning down the heat on a former life support system? Let me use this platform to ease any concerns in that direction. Sega's answer is no. You'll hear lots of talk today and in the days ahead about next-generation systems. The appeal to older players from those games will be obvious, but we're not forgetting the group that put us where we are. We will still make the hot action titles. We're not forgetting there's an array of budgets out there, nor are we forgetting the aspirations of the young observers of this industry. We've long noted that when you skew your product line toward the young, there's little room for growth. So as we begin to skew our products forward and toward an older, more sophisticated consumer, we're giving kids room to realize their aspirations. We have hot new products awaiting launch on all our platforms. As just a sampling of this, let me mention Comic Zone, a Genesis product that represents a whole new game genre, bringing the nation's #1 print medium, comics, to life. Most popular TV and movie licensed characters to game. Brings the ultimate high-end arcade technology into home systems. Retail. For Genesis, there will be 55 new titles this year. For 32X, 40 new titles, and for Game Gear, 35 new titles. And as I noted before, the job of analyzing this business is going to get harder. Predicting revenues was never the simple population modeling exercise that we all wanted it to be. Now the variables we will all have to consider will require even finer-tuned crystal balls. But that doesn't mean we're not going to work at it. Let me take a qualify myself in this business of defining markets for the years ahead. Number 1, 2, and 3 in that list of qualifiers is that I work at Sega. I don't believe there is a company or individual in the industry who has a better sense of the mind of the consumer than Sega. Yes, we got our start in the arcade business, learning about gamer expectations, a quarter at a time. We've had to provide arcade entertainment so interesting, so compelling, and so addictive that you put quarter after quarter in just to increase your score. And that means something. We are the largest creator and marketer of arcade and consumer interactive entertainment in the world. I noted that one of my best friends among the competition said in a recent article, our heritage claim was much overused. Trust me when I say this, if any other company could claim the heritage of 40-plus years of understanding the mind of the game player, it would. What it's yielded us is unqualified in the most important criterion for success in this business. We create interactive entertainment hits in and outside the home. No other company does this. There's a new consumer mind out there, older, more affluent. This is a group that has positively proven it can be drawn to gaming when gaming delivers the kind of immersive experiences they want. To those of you who pointed Myst as an example of the kind of CD game young adults want, I say that's right. And we'll do that kind better on our CD-ROM platforms, only our games will be faster, more sensually overwhelming, far more social and interactive. So what matters to this new consumer mind? It all boils down to this. People want a great immersive experience that helps them relax, escape, compete, win, and most importantly, have fun. No matter what kind of tech talk you hear in the next few days, and we'll certainly be contributing to that, the game is what counts, not what makes it great. In early movie days, it was technology. The first to deliver sound, the first to deliver color. So too with games, the first to deliver great speed, the first to deliver realistic sound and color. Now we believe our Genesis 32X and Sega Saturn technologies are better than their respective competitors. But we realize it's the software the consumer cares about. We're at the point where the experience of the game, the story inside the game, is what matters. Suspension of disbelief. It's always been the fundamental component of diversion, whether that diversion was books, theaters, or movies. Advances in gaming mean we will come to supply that component more effectively than any other medium. The interactive entertainment business is going to allow the Walter, Mitty, and all of us to finally realize our dreams. We're going to become great hockey players, race car drivers, football players, mediators for that matter. We're going to move into find new worlds that were formerly only available to us in our dreams. Now this suggests some obvious changes in the games of the future. Side-scrolling games, for all the fun and success they've brought us, will ultimately give way to newer, more complex genres. Now please note this, I said ultimately give way. A long time from now. We expect to sell millions of Sonic and other great side-scrolling games over the next 2 or 3 years. So am I talking about a revolution here? Not really. But I am absolutely saying it's time for the press and the analysts to take off their cautionary hats for a change, to move the meter a tick or so to the right, to see that this is an industry that merely paused to take a breath before resuming its stunning growth pattern. This is a $5 billion industry that was $1 billion 8 years ago. And it's going to grow, my numbers, 9 or 10 billion by the year 2000, whereas the link is 11 billion. Okay, up to this point, a lot of what I've said has been pretty qualitative or in nature. Do I have any historical data to offer you? Yes. Let's look at the experience to date in Japan. Sega Saturn has already sold 1 million units there. We anticipate that Sega Saturn's first full year in Japan will yield sales of 2.6 million. Now, if you conservatively translate that to the U.S. market, we expect to sell over 3 million units here in the first full year on the market. We think we'd sell more, but the extraordinary success in Japan means some limits to the supply in the U.S. are inevitable. We believe Sega Saturn sales in the U.S. before Christmas will be in the neighborhood of 600,000 units. You may have seen some argument in the trade press between Sega and Sony about who sold the most in the Japanese market. Well, we did. But the import of the sales figures go way beyond just who sold more in one key Asian market. Together, the sales are fantastic. They mean a broader market than we've ever experienced before. They mean we get to that $9 or $10 billion number I referred to earlier. So how can Sega and others in our industry make this rosy picture come true? By going to the next level as quickly as possible and at a price as low as we can manage. That's how. But you do that. I can't speak for my competitors, but I do know the kind of products we're bringing to market soon are going to hit that bigger, broader group of consumers like nothing's ever hit it before. They're going to push the bounds of what great arcade technology can do, but they're going to do that on people's TV sets at home. We're launching Sega Saturn with great software. Here's Daytona on Sega Saturn. Daytona is the #1 grossing arcade game worldwide today. Our audiences say they want 360-degree immersion, great production values, super 3D visuals and stereo sound. Games like Panzer Dragoon will more than satisfy them. And now, with the help of my able and charming assistant, Tim Dunley, let me show you what a top arcade hit worldwide looks like on the Sega Saturn platform. Virtua Fighter is the best fighting game ever done. It's #1 in Japan, it has a cult following, and it's already the top 5 arcade hit in the U.S. and Europe. There is computer modeling, animation, all of these fighters, little real fighters, real human beings practicing different martial arts skills. The computer captured their motion, and then we generate these graphics. We're generating many hundreds of thousands of textured polygons per second. Oh, you lost? Or did you win? You won. Oh, good, Jen. And that product on Saturn looks as good as it does in the arcade. And here's a quick look at some of the other Sega Saturn games consumers will be choosing from at our launch. Now those games are either all done or days away from completion. Here's one that isn't done but will be ready by Christmas. As Yogi also said, you can see a lot just by looking. And after looking at that stuff, I find it hard to believe young adults aren't going to find these games appealing. In fact, I believe everyone will find these games so irresistible that people are going to make the time and the budget to buy and play them. Is there developer motivation? Judge by yourself. More than 100 third parties are now developing Sega Saturn software for 1995, and we anticipate a full library of 80 outstanding third-party titles on retail shelves by Christmas of this year. I think the bottom line, perhaps the understandable bottom line behind any media and analyst comments regarding market saturation, is simply blown away by this kind of product. And I'm not completely naive. I'm sure my competitors, well, in due time, will be showing similarly outrageous, similarly engaging experiences that are going to be appearing on your TVs. The kind of technology under the hood of every Sega Saturn will deliver the leapfrog forward our new consumers demand. Sega Saturns employ an orchestra of engines for that leapfrog result. No less than 3 Hitachi 32-bit RISC processors are used for the main power. 2 video display processors generate character and gameplay images and background graphics. A custom sound chip and a digital signal processor yields up to 32 voices in CD quality audio. But I said the message wasn't technical, didn't I? The fact is, parallel multiple processing, such as we employ on Sega Saturn, makes bit counting an obsolete exercise. If you want to play that game, we could say Sega Saturn's a 128-bit system, but I won't do that, I promise, because gameplay, graphics, speed, control, sound, and game design, all yielding magic, not bits. Gameplay will be evaluated on the magic it provides, not on some technical notion of bits per dollar. And our marketing will exploit that. The full thrust of our marketing efforts will be directed to make the consumer know how he or she will feel when playing Sega Saturn. You and the consumers will be hearing a lot from us, and a lot from everybody as our business approaches this new level. In advertising, for example, as our industry gears up for the higher tech machine launches, you're going to see some dramatic increases in expenditures from the business as a whole. For 1995, we're looking at $250 million in projected media buys. And that's just from the major manufacturers. That figure is up from $125 million only a year and a half ago. $100 million of that $250 million will be from Sega alone. And believe me, we don't spend $100 million unless we're confident of success. If you add in the kind of media purchased by the big retailers, such as Toys R Us and Walmart and Target, the figure balloons to $500 million. A keynote speech is no place for a point-by-point explanation of our marketing plan, but I hope you'll forgive at least some details about one of the more obvious components of the plan, our advertising. If Sega advertising to the millions of teens and young adults we consider our primary audience has been, well, occasionally shocking, it has also been honest and genuinely funny and communicated enough sense of product so that those TV sophisticates, the cynical 14 to 25-year-old, knew we weren't just preaching to them. Well, advertising to an older crowd isn't going to be any easier. In fact, I cannot imagine a product category with a closer connection between successful advertising and product successes. But we're not backing away from the challenge. On the contrary, I think we move even closer to the edge. We might even be establishing new edges. This is not going to be simulation of gameplay so much as depiction of how the game player will feel when engaged with Sega Saturn. Our vision is to replicate the sensory overload this kind of gameplay will induce. The advertising objective? to create such a desire for the games that they will literally sell themselves. Here's a 60-second spot that we will be running as soon as we can manage.
Welcome to the theater of the eye.
Rods and cones report to the orbital side.
Oh, nice. We're trimming the toenails. What's that?
This is the brain. What's going on down there?
Here comes going up! Go down!
What else can go wrong?
Surgeon Synapse on line 2. It's the sphincter.
I guarantee you, every 22-year-old in North America knows what a sphincter is and why a game makes it react, even if the rest of us have to think. Now let's look at two 30-second spots that ought to be equally effective in grabbing people's attention.
Welcome to the theater of the eye. 500,000 polygons a second. Colors. Wreak some havoc in your head.
Sega Saturn.
Welcome to the theater of the eye. Real sports.
Keep it down a little.
Too fast.
I am gonna need some help.
There you go. Shredder.
So get your rods and cones ready. Our advertising is very different. We're communicating how the body, the eyes, the ears, the nerves, and yes, the sphincter react to this new immersive experience. I think when Yogi said fork in the road, he meant opportunity. When he sees opportunity, he takes it. So do we. We're taking all the opportunities we can to make this business soar. And since I began my remarks with an announcement, I may as well finish with another. We started our rollout of Sega Saturn yesterday. We're at retail today in 1,800 Toys R Us, software, etc., and electronic boutique stores around the U.S. and Canada. Our retail price is between $3.99